How are you?
I think this is my first podcast back in like a month.
Oh God, it was really nice for the last
It was
month,
we had so much viewership, and now it's like just going back down the hill.
All right, we're going real raw easy today, and we're gonna. It's gonna hurt a little bit, right? It is. And you don't even know what I have written down over here yet.
I can't read. No one can read that.
I can
it's not
read it.
English.
So it's how to prepare. So we can't just jump in. We're getting ready for 2019. Pretty much, you guys know everything you're going to book business-wise right now is going to close in 2019.
Right.
So unless you squeak a couple cash deals out between now and then, you might get lucky with a couple. But most of the time, you're building your inventory that's going to start to rock your Q1.
Yep.
So everybody now is talking about what's your business plan, what's your business plan, what's your business plan. I think it's a little too early, right? I think people jump into the business plan before they're ready to jump into their business plan because everyone says you should jump into your business plan. So I wrote down a couple things that I believe that agents need to focus on before you jump into your business plan, right?
Yep.
So that's some of the things we want to talk about. And then we're going to hit some tactical, real life things you're going to be able to do to kind of get your business really going. So first thing is, from a mental perspective, I want to make sure that we have a resistance-free business in 2019. And if you're honest with yourself, if you think back to your 2018, I'd be pretty well willing to bet you that it was not resistance-free and stress-free. Because as we've been uncovering a lot, there's a big difference between doing deals and actually building a business, right? And I think most agents that are in this industry are doing deals, and very few are actually building a business. And if we're going to talk about business planning, we need to talk about what a business is. But before we can even get to building the business, I think we should talk a little bit about mindset stuff.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think this is the time of year where everyone starts to really think about, how'd the year go? What, mentally, like, how do they want their 2019 to look? Not even business-wise, just personally, and really just start doing that self-reflection. This is just the time of the year that tends to happen. But I think that's really important because everything changes. Things change month to month. They definitely change year to year. And depending on what you know is coming, whether it's your 15-year-old is turning 16 and is going to need a new car, whether it's your kid's graduating this year, whether it's you're brand new in the industry and you're about to kick off your real estate career on January 2nd, like whatever it is,
right,
you're thinking about that now as you head into the new year. And that, and to your point, is so much more important to get planned out and ironed out of what is your why, right? What is going to drive you, not your why from 18, because it may changed, right? But what is your why for this coming year? And even more importantly, taking it more micro, what is your why for the first quarter of next year? And then once you have that, then we can build a plan that's going to achieve that.
So, my analytical score is not my highest one. So I'm not going to get into the weeds about building that plan yet. We're going to do a hell of an event coming up on most likely the 10th. We'll let that out soon. About a real business planning day, which is going to be awesome. But this is a pre-planned thing. So I had a couple interviews this morning, which were pretty interesting. And it's amazing the limited beliefs that people have. But then as you think about it, and the more and more we've kind of evolved as into this business, it's natural to understand why the limiting beliefs are happening. Because interviewed people that were from other companies that are coming over to us, and some people that are brand new in the industry coming in. And there's preconceived notions as to what's realistic in your first year and how you should do it, what you should grow an extra 20% a year, or 20%. All these things are inside their brain, and everyone's getting too bogged down into the details that are totally irrelevant here. Because let's break all down the BS here for a second. And proud of me I didn't cuss there. And what we're talking about is everything that you're thinking and everything that you're hypothesizing about is complete 100% made up, right? Every belief you have about what's possible for you, every vision you have for your future, anything that you think holds you back or your strengths or weaknesses, everything that you do is completely made up. It's your interpretation of it. So here's what my question is for you. If you're going to be making things up, you've got a choice. You can either be making things up that feel really good, or you can be making things up that stress you out, freak you out, and fill you full of anxiety.
Yep.
And for some reason, the vast majority of people choose to think about things that stress them out, freak them out, fill them full of anxiety. And if you want to talk about proof about that one, all of you who are watching that are in the real estate industry, you know what happens when you don't do what you should do. You know exactly what you need to go do. You know, and if you wanted to get a bigger check every time you did a transaction, what do you have to do to your neighborhood?
Farm it.
Farm a better neighborhood, up your price
Right.
point. You know what to do. Do you know how to do that? Yes, every one of you watching this knows exactly how to raise your game. You know how to talk to a higher price point. You can go to a FSBO with a higher price point, expired with a higher price point, neighborhood with a higher price point, talk to your richer sphere friends, geo-target in a richer neighborhood. You know how to do that, and you should do that, but you didn't do that, right? Because of the stuff that you've said to yourself that was a limiting belief of why you didn't do it yet, and you sold yourself on that line of crap. That is not true. So what I want to make sure happens is we clear out this, right? Heading into Q1 in 2019, and we just make a major mind shift away from the limited scarcity belief systems and a shift from a survival mindset to an abundance thinking thought process of there's so much business out here and there's everything that I could ever possibly want. Right? These are major shifts.
I think it has to do somewhat, though, kind of along the same lines. I think I have a little bit of a different take in that I think a lot of people hold themselves back or don't actually achieve what they want to achieve because the thing that they are telling themselves they want to achieve is for someone else, not for themselves. Here's what I mean.
Right.
I think that for a lot of people, their desire to drive, I'm just happen to be looking at one, their desire to drive a Mercedes is not because they truly love a Mercedes. It's because they think driving the Mercedes is going to make other people think that they're successful or cool. And that, when you're not doing something that's true to yourself, when you don't truly, to your core, believe that you want to drive that Mercedes, it's not what you want, you're going to not work as hard to make it happen. But when you see, like I've seen it, when you have someone who is doing this and their why is because they're planning a amazing vacation for their family or for their kids, or, you know, we had that agent last year who wanted to take their son to the NHL All-Star game.
Yep.
And they got like 5 extra deals that month and made it happen.
Yep.
That they executed because they truly wanted that, right? And I just think that so many people are confused and lie to themselves about what they actually want to work for and what they don't. And I think that makes a huge impact on your ability to execute and actually achieve.
I think you're right about that too. Is you've got to get totally crystal clear on the reasons for
stop doing things for other people. That's the punchline. Do it for yourself
and start doing things. Right?
Execute. There's the business plan. Execute.
One of the agents I was coaching with earlier today too, we were talking about leads, and we're going through the listing leads most likely to convert next, and we're going through the whole list like I normally do with them, and that's just part of the coaching. And it was kind of frustrating to her because she's saying these leads aren't closing yet. Right? What am I doing? How do I get them to sign? How do you get them to close? And what am I doing wrong? And the answer is you're stressing out and you're creating things that are not necessary to even think about. Because here's the reality of it. I don't care how good a salesperson you are, you do not have a magic wand to force people to move. You just don't. So if you have leads that are not buying right now, it's because life hasn't created a situation that requires them to buy right now. If the sellers haven't decided to list their house right now, it's because life hasn't pushed them to the point where they decided to list their house right now.
Yep.
And there's nothing you're not doing. It's just they're not ready. What you're not doing is talking to enough people, because if the people that you have aren't converting right now, you don't have a business. You have a hope and dream that sometimes somebody might do something that will work for you. That's a terrible business model.
Yep.
Right? You need to step up the game as far as connections and contacts, because if you put everything else aside, every business planning model in the world, I don't care which coach tells you to do what, it's all irrelevant if you're not talking to people. And if you don't have leads that are converting right now, if you don't have a seller who's going to sign a listing agreement with you this week, you did not do enough prospecting last week. I'm sorry to tell it what it is, but that's the way it is. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
It is a contact sport. Call it what you want. If you don't have any buyers that are ready to buy, that are pre-approved, pre-qualified, motivated, and have to buy a house right now, you haven't talked to enough people. Right? That's the reality of it. So when we're talking about the business plan, the numbers are critical to do them, right?
Yes.
But the mindset in which you do that makes a total difference. One of the things we talked about this morning here was 3 words, right? And they kept coming out, and it's all is well, right? And really powerful words, all is well. What does that mean when you hear that? What does that mean? All is well.
To me, it means everything is copacetic. It's good.
Everything is good.
Yep. Everything is all right.
So let's just decide this, and guys, agree with this and comment on this if you want to comment on it. All is well means everything is perfect, happening the way it's supposed to happen right now, and you have no real say about it, right? Which is a kind of a weird thing from a lot of us in control freak land. You want to be able to control stuff, and when you agree that everything you're talking about is made up anyway, and you're deciding what you're going to believe, how about believing that everything is happening the way it's supposed to happen? Everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing what they should be doing when they're doing it. If it's not aligning to your time frame, let it go, right? And it's a whole different way. It's called just resistance free. It's total acceptance, man. And this is just the way it is. If they're not ready to sell yet, sweet. They're not ready to buy yet, sweet. Then you need to analyze your business. And if you're not doing enough to get people that are ready to do something now, then we got to talk about how to generate more leads.
Yeah, but I think that's an easier process to follow when you truly enjoy the process that you're taking. So to your point, right, you have to talk to a certain number of people. What we're not saying there is you literally have to call a certain number of people. That could be your way, right? There's so many ways, which we've gone through before, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whether it's email, whether it's you knocking on doors, whether it's you working for, like, your tactic of how you're talking to the people doesn't matter. What does matter, though, is that you're going to enjoy and commit to that process. Because if you enjoy the process, the outcome doesn't matter. And you talk about that all the time. You cannot be connected to the outcome, right? And that,
you don't control it.
It's crippling, though, right? And that's the problem for all the people that when you go through a deal, and I'll give you a prime example. I have a family member who is working with one of our agents, right? She took this listing, or took her on really as a favor, but she's going to make money on it. Right. She went through a ton of work around the holiday, right? Literally working, doing some stuff on Thanksgiving, heavily working the day before Thanksgiving when everyone else was not, right, for a listing that is not a huge dollar listing, right? She's doing all this work, and then we find out that my family member cannot close yet and has to wait. So the whole deal fell apart. Literally, they had signed a contract, like everything was done, and she can't, right? All of that went to naught. Now, if you're a control freak, that's going to piss you off. You're going to mentally be out of it. It's going to make you not want to do that again. But for that agent, she loves the process. She loves this so much that it's just part of it. And she moves on, right?
I can't
Instantly.
wait to talk to her about her pre-qualification steps that went into that deal.
Instantly. So this was a rare circumstance. This was a weird deal. But my point being, you have to love it. Like, I think we love what we do. And so my kind of just another point, if we did this podcast and no one watched, right, or 5 people watched, would we still do it? I think so, because we like it, right? It's enjoyable. It's fun. We just want to do it. We're enjoying the process. So whether 5 people watch or 1 million people watch, it doesn't affect us doing this. We're still going to do it. And that's what you need to get your head around, because if your process is knocking on doors and you're not worrying about how many people are actually going to answer, you're going to keep knocking. But if you're worried, if you in your head, if you're tracking how many people are actually answering the door, when you get to the 100th door and no one's answered, you're going to stop because you're not enjoying the process. You're tied to the end result. And if that end result turns out to not be favorable at that moment, you're going to stop.
And it's fun. It's fun to watch agents and see who likes what. I mean, we've got one of my next coachings I'm doing. Agent absolutely gets off on door knocking. Like he loves door knocking, loves it. Wakes up in the morning, can't wait till the time to be appropriate to start banging on doors because it's just fun and it's profitable. And he just there's a DNA strand that's just like, let me go. Other people are like, no.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it.
It's not going to happen.
I don't have that. I don't have that.
So that's the fun part. But you hit it on the head too. Is if you adopt the concept of, you know what, you know that there's plenty of business out there. It's 100% abundant world. There's so much business to be had. People will work with you, and you're going to attract the people that want you, and you're going to repel the people who don't. And everything's fine the way that it is, right? That's a cool way to be. Deal falls apart, whatever. Didn't get a listing, whatever. Got the listing, whatever. Got the sale, whatever. That's all part of the process. So because you're constantly bringing more people into the sales funnel, if you will, you're not attached to the outcome, and you constantly have opportunities. If you don't have an incubation pile, then you don't have a business. You're at the mercy of a deal here and there, and you're going to stress yourself out, have a crappy life because you're wondering where your next meal is going to come from. And that's not a business. That is doing deals. So my wish for everybody that's watching this and everyone who we're associated with is we're not going to do 2019 doing deals, right? We are going to have a business specifically generated to what we enjoy doing. So having fun and making money is a way of life in this industry because, guys, life is too short to not be enjoying the process. And stop doing stuff that you don't like to do. If you don't like door knocking, do not lie to yourself or your coach or your manager or your spouse and tell them you're going to go door knocking. Because even if you do it, you're going to internally resist it and you're going to suck at it and you're not going to get any results. So we got to figure out what are you going to do. So a couple questions I want you to start thinking about before we actually get into the business planning section, which we'll do not to this podcast, but another one is how are we going to, what kind of business do you really want in 2019? Like what type? What do I mean by what type? Let's talk about micro marketing for a second, right? That's what this is. Like, do you want to only work with retirees? Do you only want to work with vacation homes? Do you only want to work with first-time home buyers? Do you want to work with rent-to-owners? Do you want to work with $1 million plus? Do you want to just focus on high-end auctions? Do you just want to talk to whatever it is? It doesn't matter what it is, but what type of people do you want? Do you want to work with whatever? It doesn't matter what it is, but know it. And then how much? How many deals? How much do you really want to make? And this is something that you got to be realistic about too. And there's got to be some self-awareness brought back into the equation here. And what are you really capable of doing? Now, I'm not going to say positive thing, you can do whatever you want because you honestly, you can't. Some people watching are not going to knock it out of the park, right? Because you don't want to. You might say you want to, but deep down inside you don't want to because you'd actually like to go home and see your kids. Right. And you don't want to sacrifice the time. And that's not a bad thing. It's like being self-aware about what you want. And how much money realistically, when you bring home to the household at the end of a month, puts a smile on your face. That's it. And that might be $5,000. 60 grand a year extra. Will that help out your household? Do it, guys. Do it. If it's 20 grand a month, do it. Doesn't matter what the number is, but be real about it and figure out how much it is.
Well, it's time to be selfish because at this point, it's what you want, not what anyone else wants, not what they want to hear. Right? Like they're not, you're not, or what you should want, but they're not doing any justice to themselves or to you. If you're sitting there with an agent and they think that you want to hear that they're going to do $100,000 in the quarter, right? But realistically, they're sitting back at their core saying, I really just want to do, if I do 20, I'll be all right. Right? Then you need to say 20. Like stop trying to appease other people. Stop trying to do things that you think other people want you to do or that you see other people do and it works for them. Just do you. Do what you truly want to do. And when you set that as your goal, when you set something that you believe in and you want to do, you will achieve it. But as long as you're still trying to do things for us or your broker or your spouse or your somebody else, you're going to lose. You just will. You're not going to execute on it.
So be realistic and do the budget, guys. Figure out what is your household income? What is your household expenses?
What do you need?
What do you need?
And then what do you want?
Right?
That's it.
And then the question is, where do you want to do the business? Because this is part of the business. Notice the words that we're using is business. Because if you're out there and you're doing a deal in this town, you're out in the suburbs, you're into the city, you're out downtown, you're in another town, next town over because you got a referral and you're driving all over the place, you're not specializing in any market, you do not have a business. You are a scrambling deal maker, but you have no business. So where do you want to do business? Because you get to control this, guys. I want to work in this town. I will work in this zip code. I will work with this type of people in this price point in these neighborhoods, period. That's a business plan, right? And I will work with only these type of people for these type of deals. It's the specialist versus general practitioner.
Yep.
Right? Everyone can, it's a lot easier to be a general practitioner than it is to be a specialist because of the time, the intellect needed, the time needed, the money taken, and the time invested in order to be a specialist. There's no difference depending on which market you're in. And then after you get the where, when do you want these checks to come? Because you got to be self-aware and just knowledgeable about your market. If your days on the market for your $1 million to $4 million homes is 282, then that's not going to help you very much in Q1.
Nope.
Right? But if you want to knock out a bunch of $300,000 listings because that price point in that school district keep turning and burning, how often do you want to get these checks? When do you want to? So these are questions I need you to start thinking about before we do the business planning.
Yeah.
How are we going to generate the business? Big one, guys. And because how many times do we talk about this one? Everything
It all works. It all works.
And we were joking around the table this morning at sales meeting. Like, let's talk about how can we go generate business right now? I mean, if you had to get a listing by the end of this week, what could you go do? And where there's a Publix supermarket right across the street, we're looking at it right now. You could go stand in Publix with your name tag on and a smile all day, today, tomorrow, the next day. And I promise you, you will find a deal.
Yep.
Somebody will come up and talk to you about that brand on your shirt. That's just the way it's going to work. You could go to every FSBO in town this week, go to every expired in town this week. You can do a targeted Facebook ad this week. You can call every one of your spheres. You can text message your sphere. You could do a little video to your sphere. You could do something on Instagram. You can do something on Facebook. You can do something on LinkedIn. You can go door to door. You could do a mailing. You could do a flyer. You could do an open house. You can walk a dog. You can go hang out at a dog park. You can go hang out at a bar. You can do everything works will generate business, but it will generate deals, but it's not a business. So how do you really want to do this? Because until this becomes not a job, and I mean, what I do, I love, right? I absolutely love this. This is not a job. This is a pleasure, right? To be able to work in the way that we work. It's unbelievable. So how do you want to generate the business? And then why are we going to do it? And that's the big one, is the why. And notice how important that is, and to be realistic to yourself as far as why are we really doing this one? And Mike hit it on the head. It is for nobody else except for you and your unit that you're responsible for, figuring out what lifestyle are we actually evolving into on that
All
one.
that matters.
Right? So those are the questions that we want you guys to really get through as you start to your pre-business planning on that one. So it's shifting from survival mindset to a thrival mindset. And the biggest thing about that is realizing that you don't control anything, guys. Let it go. And the survival mindset puts the tension and anxiety, and you get attached to the outcome. And I need this deal or else I'm going to not eat and all that stuff. And you start to get that commission breath and you run around and things get crazy. You got to drop it. You got to drop the survival out. And then you're going to just let things be, man. If you don't have enough business, talk to people.
It won't work. It won't. If you don't enjoy the process of whatever business generation tactic you decide to take, if you don't enjoy it, it won't work.
Right.
Period. You have to enjoy the process, which will create the framework for good things to happen. Right? And then be patient. That's it.
Be patient and work. Right?
Well, yeah, you gotta execute. You gotta put in the work.
I think that goes. One of the things I'm worried about people right now is when they rely on social media, right? They think that replaces the numbers of talking with people, and it does not. That is a major, major, major problem that can knock you out of business if you stop talking with people, thinking that views equal contacts, because they do not.
They don't. What concerns me with people relying on social media, and for those that are not aware, that's literally my job here. So, no one uses social media more than I do, but it is a huge concern for me that when I see agents trying to rely solely on it, and the reason being is Can you? Yes, if you're extremely good at follow-up and execution. But if you think that Zillow leads or Realtor.com leads or really any other lead source takes follow-up, which they do, nothing takes more follow-up than a social lead, period. It's just different. And the way that you follow up and everything about it has to be approached in a different way. And it's a way that most agents that I talk to are not good at and don't understand. And so, yes, they know how to post and they know how to shoot the video and they know how to do that. But when it comes to the actual follow-up and I say, okay, cool, let's go through your follow-up plan. And how are you following up leads? They get white because they don't have one, which means that all of those efforts will never, ever actually produce the results they want. And that's what concerns me. If you are an absolute ninja at following up, you could build a business on social media. Unfortunately, 99% of you are not. And so you need to get good at the whole funnel, not just the top part of it. And that goes really for any lead gen.
Right.
But
and it's a lead gen, top of mind awareness generation machine.
it is. It's a brand.
Unlike
it's a branding
anything
game.
else.
It's a branding game.
But it reaches engagement when people start engaging with you. There are leads that need to be followed up, and that's
100%.
People miss that. It's not a magic. There is no magic answer.
No, there's no magic.
We'll end on the magic answer. You know what the magic answer to this business is?
Execute.
Talk to people. Talk to people and ask them who they know that is even remotely considering selling their house right now. Go talk with them, find out their motivation, be honest about pricing, talk to them about how you're going to have their back, and put them on the market. And if they're not ready, go talk to somebody else. And if they're not ready, go talk to somebody else. And if they're not ready, go talk to somebody else. And if they're not ready, go talk to somebody else. And if they're not ready, go talk to somebody else while you're incubating the other ones until they're ready, right? And you do that until you get enough deals that close in a month to fund the lifestyle that puts a big ass smile on your face. So back to basics, guys. Reintroducing sales into the real estate business and talking to people that will never go away. It's a lost art form, and we're going to help you bring it on back. So sharpen the mind and get ready for a cool business plan session coming up. So,
all right.
Parting words.
That's all we got. I mean, it like you said, it all comes down to execution, guys. Their Magic Cab was out before Uber. How many of you have Magic Cab app on your phone? No one, right? Uber executed. Execute. Go execute. Period.
Pick a lead gen source and get damn good at it.
Yep.
And cut off yourself from every other possibility and just be amazing. And that's what's going to help you build the 2019 plan. And we'll let you know what state our business planning session will be.
Yep.
We'll probably put that live on BE3 also.
Yep.
And for everybody who's watching there. So thank you guys for tuning in. Reach out, of course,
Thanks,
with
guys.
everything you need. And
see you next week.
See you.